What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kinda Funny Gamescast for Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. New York Game Awards nominated, a.k.a. Fighting Game Poppy Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Good day, Greg.
How's the rematch obsession?
Oh, it's going great. It's
Yeah.
nonstop. It's one of those things where as I'm playing it, I've hit the point now where I know I'm doing something unhealthy. I'm like, oh man, I've been doing so much of this that now it kind of feels gross, but I'm not going to stop.
Okay, good. I like that. Of course, you know him as the taste maker. It's Roger Picorni. Hello, Roger.
Hi, Greg, you on this Owala train?
No, I
hear
heard
about
you
this
and Joey
Owala?
talking, and now we're already breaking the fourth wall, just looking at each other.
Yeah, we're gonna look at each other.
So, is it Oddwalla like the juices I get at the grocery store?
Excuse me?
You said Oddwalla?
Is it Oddwalla like
He's
the juices?
fucking with us.
Yeah, okay.
There's no way.
Now this might be a
There's
bit.
no
Now this
such
might
thing
be a
as
bit.
Oddwalla?
O-D Walla. Oddwalla.
What type of juice is it? Is it like an
It's all
animal's
sorts of
juice?
Juices. Like an animal's juices.
I thought maybe an animal is named Oddwalla.
They're a very popular juice and protein shake brand over there. Jared, you know
Oh.
what I'm talking about. You ever seen an Oddwalla?
Yeah, this is fake.
No.
See, you're
Okay.
like the react.
I've seen the water bottle.
Yeah, I see it.
Look at it. It
What about
autofills Oddwalla right there.
I
What are
love.
you talking about?
I love that the reaction Roger's having to Oddwalla.
Oh, I watched a podcast about Oddwalla
my
literally
God.
yesterday.
Oh my God. What
'Cause
does
that's
that
my
even
life.
mean?
I watch a podcast about food, everybody, and like it just.
How did you not know immediately what I'm talking about?
It's old, dude. It's an old brand that came back, is what they're saying. Oddwalla. Oddwalla.
When did it go away?
A while ago. Owala is the
Once
new.
drank too many and I pooped myself.
What? It's a water bottle brand, and I have one. And then Blessing, I was telling Blessing about it because everyone at the office kind of has one. Joey,
Everybody
Ferris,
at the office.
me, everyone that matters.
Three people at the office have Oddwalla.
And then Blessing looked at me and he was like, "That's a fake thing. You're making a joke. Like no one has this thing." And then I said, "Turn around." Like 3 people had a wallet.
Yeah, it was fucking Bears holding it. Fucking Joey's
I
holding
heard you talking about it and I was
Yeah.
confused because again I was thinking it was the juice. And then I heard there being something where you're saying the cool kids switch lids. And
Yes.
you can switch, but Joey was like, oh, you can't, they're switching lids at the store, but that violates the warranty. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean it's exactly what you.
What are the
What's so
two
nice
modes,
about
Roger?
this bottle?
It has the little lip right there. The lip right there, if you open it up, it has a straw and it also has the chug jug right there.
Yeah.
So you can sip and you can chug and it's patented.
This strikes me a lot like the Stanley.
Yeah, but it's better than the Stanley.
It's just
right?
like, well, this is like a fad. I'm not part of this fad. I'm not going to be part of this fad. Jerica, are you part of this fad?
Yeah.
No, but I did look at water bottles recently. I saw those online, but I just like I need more of a spout for my straw. Like I need to be able to
It's
reach
got
it
one, though.
better. And I feel like that's harder to drink out of.
You gotta
I could
try
be
it.
wrong.
You should go to your local Dick's Sporting Goods and just start sipping out of a bunch of Owalas.
Yeah, you'll never know. You'll never know. Jerica, of course, is from JK Games, the podcast, and is joining us because, of course, Jerica joined us on the one, the only, the Death Stranding 2 on the Beach review. Welcome back, Jerica.
Yeah, I'm so glad to finally talk about what's going on in
That's
this
right,
game.
everybody.
I can't wait to do
If
this
you
with
didn't
y'all.
see what you clicked on, this is our Death Stranding 2 on the Beach spoiler cast. All of us have beaten it, even Roger, who
Yeah.
claimed he wasn't going to for the spoiler cast.
I was trying not to.
You freaked it.
I freaked it. Me and Mike.
So if people don't know, which is impossible, if they don't know, how long did you stream Death Stranding?
Oh boy, I think it's 83 hours we were live technically. Yeah,
okay.
so 83 hours we were live. A lot of that was eating, a lot of that was sleeping. But Mike and I got through a good portion of the game. I think we had 4 hours left, 4 to 5 hours left by the time we finished that big marathon stream where, of course, Mike was on a treadmill the entire time.
Entire time.
Most of the time, as I was walking. As Sam Porter Bridges walked, of course, Mike walked as well. And then we did 2 extra streams after that and we beat the game. So yeah, I've finally beaten the game.
Do you feel like you beat it in the way you wanted to beat it? Because again, there was this conversation where you guys weren't in the production meeting or were, and I said I'm putting them on the spoiler cast, and then during the stream you kept saying, "I'm sorry, Greg, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. I don't want to rush this."
Yeah, No, I definitely have not beaten the game in the way that I want to. I mean, ideally, I would just be alone in my house, right?
Sure.
Be playing the game, but I have processed enough of that story. I have opinions, I have thoughts. I need to talk about this game somewhere, and also I've restarted the game. by myself on my PS5. So I'm gonna
Oh.
replay that game as well. So I'm about like 8 hours already on my PS5 save at home. So
All right.
yeah, I'm deep in the Death Stranding, and I feel excited to talk to you guys about it.
Well, I'm excited to talk to all three of you about it because this is the Kind of Funny Games cast. Each and every weekday, we come together to talk about the biggest topics in video games, whether they be reviews, previews, spoiler casts, or just conversations we need to have. We have them all right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, and podcast services around the globe. Of course, special shout out to the one and the only Big Kev Dog, Kevin Coelho. Games Daily cursed with multiple blue screens in the main studio, the main brain of the studio. Kevin immediately got us here into the emergency lifeboat. We are in the LEM. It's an Apollo 13 reference, everybody, for you over here in the lab doing Kind of Funny Gamescast to make sure you get your content. Good job, Kevin. Throw up your gold stars, everybody in the Twitch chat. Of course, if you're watching live, you have a special job. Head over to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. There you can super chat your questions, your thoughts, your opinions, your reviews of Death Stranding 2 on the beach so we can spoil the shit out of them on this very episode. If you want to go even further, of course, pick up that Kind of Funny membership. $10 a month gets you 80 episodes of content, all ad-free, and it gets you the exclusive series known as Greg Way. A 15 to 20-minute podcast from my car to you each and every weekday, adding up to 4 hours of exclusive podcast. You can get your membership over on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, podcast services like Apple and Spotify, and of course, patreon.com/kindoffunny. Reminder for some housekeeping, we're an 11-person business that's all about live talk shows. Kind of Funny Games Daily was plagued by gremlins, but it was also a great conversation about Elden Ring Night Rain dominating the sales chart. After this, Blessing and Joey are streaming some games. If you're a Kind of Funny member, today's Greg Way is 19 minutes on my second viewing of Superman. This one was for me, all right? First one was for work, tomorrow's date night, and then, of course, Friday is me and Tim's date day. Last night was just about me. I tell you about the date I took myself on. And shout out to all the Kind of Funny best friends who stopped me. I believe it was Kevin, not Kevin who works here. Kevin last night who put his photo up on the subreddit. I think his name was Kevin, but I met a lot of Kind of Funny best friends last night. Who would have thought fish in a barrel at a Superman show? A lot of Kind of.
You get popcorn this time?
Oh, I got so much popcorn.
Yeah,
Got
I fucked you on that one.
Well, not you. The Kabuki did. My anger is directed at the Kabuki on the first one. Okay?
And
But it
also-
was a work event. It's different.
Yeah.
Thank you to our Patreon producers, Delaney, The Psalm, Twining, Carl Jacobs, and Omega Buster. Today, we're brought to you by Shady Rays, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the topic of the show. Death Stranding 2 on the beach came out June 26, 2025. Has a 90
Wow.
on Metacritic. Outrageous. I mean, congratulations to Kojima and the team, obviously, but like, I never would have predicted that. You know, based on Death Stranding 1 and how, did you like it? Did you not like it? It's a walking simulator. It's this, that's the other. Damn, that's a nice thing. I want to start with the folks who are on the review. So, Roger, you stay silent for a second.
Finally.
Jerica, how much Death Stranding 2 have you played since you were last there?
Definitely 20 more
20
hours.
more hours.
But I did something 20 more hours, yeah. I finally paused to get to something else. But yeah, I went back like the middle of the game save. I went back to an old save, so just so I can like start like doing more missions for other preppers and build all the roads so it's easier to get around. Towards the end of the story, I was sort of struggling because I quit building and the network went down, the week before launch. So like I was very lacking in things to help me get to my destination. So went back a save so I can enjoy all this.
So 2 weeks later, 20 hours later, where are you now? And when people ask you, how did you like Death Stranding 2?
I'm still super high on it. If anything, I've come across more storylines with different preppers, finish out the pizza guy's mission. And, that's definitely a highlight of the story was that side quest. There's like something else we might get to later that I wonder how the payoff is for that. And it involves a huge BT in the middle of a lake, some fishermen.
Okay.
I'm excited to get to that. But still high on it. Still finding a lot of different upgrades that I haven't used, like the ramp.
To shoot
like
you
being able to
across,
run
yeah.
and jump off of that thing is amazing. I didn't get to really utilize that before doing the review. So yeah, there's a lot more in this game, and I can't wait to see if there's something I've missed.
Blessing, talk to me. 2 weeks later, where are you when you've been marinating on Death Stranding 2 on the beach?
I played 0 hours more of Death Stranding 2 since the review. It's a tough thing, and this is like kind of the push and pull for me when I review games, is that like once I finish a game, it's really, really tough for me to go back just to like clean shit up, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like open world type stuff, or like, you know, finishing off like the quests and dangling stuff that I have to finish off as far as side activities. I'm so in for the story. I'm so in for the main content, and like I'll do side stuff when I'm in it, but as soon as I roll credits, I'm on to the next thing. And so I've been playing other games. I've been like, I reviewed Donkey Kong and Tony Hawk and other stuff since we reviewed Death Stranding 2. But like I'm still in the same place as far as when like how I feel when I think back to it, and when I like, you know, marinate in my emotions, marinate in my feelings. Like I'm still super high on that game as far as where it took us, where it ended, what it does with its characters, how I think it does really well by its various character arcs, and also how it just uplifts everything that it established in the first Death Stranding. Like I'm still very high. What about you, Greg?
Oh, no, you're not off the hook that quickly. Because my question would be this. Do you find yourself coming back to it when your mind wanders, when you think about stuff you've played recently? It's an interesting one of sometimes, you know, we miss that zeitgeist because we're the tip of the sword on it, where you play the game, you review the game, then it's unleashed on the world kind of thing. Have you found yourself your mind wandering back to moments from Death Stranding 2, or have you just been straight on to the other one? You kind of forgot all about it till I said there's a spoiler cast today.
I think so, yeah. Like, I think it's one of those interesting ones where I look at Death Stranding 2 as, you know, one of the, I guess, like, headline games of the year. When we think about the big games that come out every year, and it is like, all right, we're looking forward to Ghost, or we're looking forward to Starfield, or we're looking for, like, what are the big names of games? Death Stranding 2, for me, in this first half of the year, I'd say is probably the biggest one that I was most looking forward to. And it's funny because I look at my Game of the Year list so far for 2025, and I'm so happy with how bizarre like my Game of the Year list is. As far
as
this like,
on there?
Yes. Oh, 1,000%. It's like my number 2 or 3, right? Like I forget what order I have them in, but Blueprints, Clear Obscura, and Death Stranding 2 are my top 3 for the year so far. And for me, it's indicative of this being a year of just like weird and fresh ideas, and how much that's kind of spearheaded what I've been gravitating towards this year. And so like for me, when I think back to Death Stranding 2, I kind of think of it as like the AAA version of what I've been flocking to for games this year. But when I'm thinking about specific moments, right, like I'm thinking a lot about to get into the Spoilercast.
We're there.
Like, I'm gonna
you
say
should have
spoilers.
known everybody. Yeah, you should have beaten the game by now if you're here.
Yeah, the various Neil moments and Neil cutscenes in the game are ones that I think back to often, just as far as like how interesting and well produced and high, like, you know, choreographed they are, and how much I love just like those boss fights compared to the ones that we had in like the Mads Mikkelsen segments in the first Death Stranding. I think back to the Tomorrow cutscene where like you first kind of meet her, and then you're searching for her, and like you had like kind of this mellow piano music playing as you're following her footsteps and looking for her. And that was my favorite mission during the preview that I did back at when we went to Kojima Productions. And like the cutscene that follows that mission of her just whooping ass to the fucking sickest EDM music. Yeah. I'm like, man, that's fucking sick, right? But
if I can jump in, because this is something I wouldn't want to say on the actual review.
Yeah.
That was the first time where I paused it and I said, Tim, come over here. And I just put the headset on him and let him.
Yeah.
The music was awesome, but I was like, you got it. I know this is Tim's shit. I know he won't get here. Back
exactly. But I think one of the things that I think about the most when it comes to Death Stranding 2 are just how thematically, like, it's about grief, and there's been a lot of media that we've had, especially video games, about grief in the last year, especially when I referenced Clear Obscura before. But it being about losing a child, and like the whole game kind of marinating in Sam's feelings, and Sam, you know, kind of having this connection, and having like the BT version of Lou existing, but also kind of as an illusion, and like how much the game kind of comes back to that. And like it's been one that I think that theme I've been kind of sitting with and thinking back to, just as far as something that I don't see as often in video games. Often we obviously we see grief, but it being about a lost child. I don't know. I feel like this game found an interesting way to go about it in like a way that is unexpected. Like one of the conversations I found really interesting, thinking back to the preview event that we went to, was after day one. You know, we all experienced that moment in, I think it was chapter 3, right, where maybe end of chapter 2, where you know, Lou gets quote unquote taken out by the bad guys. And I was at the bar with, like, I think it was Dan Riker, it was Marcus from GameSpot, and we were having the conversation of like, yo, what happened? I was like, did they shoot the baby? Like, what the fuck happened to the baby? And nobody wanted to just admit that they took out a baby. That they straight up just, like, you know, like had this moment of, oh shit, all right, cool. This is a thing. This is a story about you've lost a baby. What do you do with that? And I don't know. I feel like it was just a very bold, very, like, non-typical choice that you have in a video game story to kind of set off the events here. And so I'm excited to talk to y'all more about that, and like, what the fuck are they, like, what the fuck are they talking about the core of this video game?
Roger, what the fuck are they talking about the core of this video game?
Ah, man, dead wife themes, dead baby themes.
Themes of dead wife.
Yeah,
Themes of dead baby.
I'm right with you, Bless. I think I'm in the middle of kind of still digesting a lot of the themes and a lot of the things that Kojima has had to say throughout this game. And I actually had a big moment today of kind of coming to terms with what I thought was a criticism of the game. And now it's become kind of a huge positive of it. And that was, in the first game, you are so focused. You have this central motivation to get to the end of the United States, to connect the East Coast and the West Coast, and that is to find your sister, right? You don't necessarily have that here in this game, right? At least in the middle of the whole story, right? It's just kind of like, oh, you have to do it because, you know, we have to kind of get the chiral network together, and, you know, we have to stop this looming threat of, I guess, violence and guns from Higgs, right? It's less focused as it is in Death Stranding 1, or at least it is less tangible. And then I started to realize that that's kind of the point here, right? Is that Sam is going through this horrible moment of grief, and he doesn't have that central thing to connect him, but this is the only thing that actually gets him out of bed in the morning. This is the only thing that actually gets him to not be drinking all day and thinking about Lou, is to just keep on going and put one foot in front of the other. And that was a big, literally, I woke up this morning, I'm driving to the gym, and I was thinking about that criticism, and then I was like, holy shit, that's a positive right there. That's actually like a conscious decision that I think that Kojima has built into this game, is having this game very front loaded, and then having all the reveals and the twists happen at the very ending, and kind of having that middle part very sparse. So yeah, I'm very much there of, like, I'm learning a lot of things, I'm thinking about a lot of things, I'm trying to connect all the dots in my second playthrough. But yeah, I very much am enjoying my second playthrough, and I think that this is, if I were to talk about generally speaking, I know we're talking about spoilers, but, like, if I like this one comparatively to Death Stranding 1 or 2, which one do I like more? I think I liked 1 more, just because it was such a unique experience, and it was something that I had never experienced before in a video game. 2 is derivative on purpose, right? It's a sequel, and it does a lot of stuff better in terms of gameplay, but I do like the story, I think, as a whole in 1 more, but that can also change, I think, as I go through my second playthrough. But yeah, that was a big aha moment for me today.
I think it's interesting. You've said a lot of stuff there I want to double back to and get on, but I like this Death Stranding 1 versus Death Stranding 2 conversation, because I think when I reviewed Death Stranding for Kind of Funny and we talked about it, and it was, you know, at the time, leading into that, it was, what is Death Stranding? What is this game going to be? X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. Like, over the years, Death Stranding has just become Norman Reedus climbing the mountain with Lou on his chest, right? And that connection between them, and, of course, getting to the end and him saying our full name and da-da-da-da-da. Like, that's what I remember Death Stranding being. And so for Death Stranding 2, I like Death Stranding 2 more than I like Death Stranding 1. I think Death Stranding 2 will stick with me longer than Death Stranding 1 did narratively, because I was very much jumped into Death Stranding 2 and totally had forgotten anything about it. This speaks, I think, to what some of my criticisms in the review, right, of, like, Norman Reedus and the way he's used in Death Stranding 1 and 2, I can never get over the fact that that's just Norman Reedus. Like, I'm looking at Daryl from The Walking Dead. That's just Norman Reedus being Norman Reedus. Like, he's not Sam Porter Bridges. Like, I will say 1 out of 10 times everywhere else it's going to be Norman Reedus, right? And so when it's like, oh, he had a wife, I'm like, I don't even know if I can remember that from that. I'm reading the summary in the beginning. It's like, and his sister. I was like, is that the woman on the beach? Like, I really like the narrative of what Death Stranding was fell completely away over the years to me. Whereas getting to Death Stranding 2 and having it be this story that I think is springboarding off what worked from the Death Stranding 1 story for me works so well. All right, it's him and Lou. Lou's been taken away. What's going on? We get to the end here, and of course, Elle Fanning is Lou. What does that set them up for in the future? How badass it is to see her in the Porter gear at the end of this fucking game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that, a simpler story maybe, or a different, you know, a more, I guess, A to B story in some ways. That works for me better than Death Stranding 1's did, where, you know, I think back and I'm like, yeah, you're Mario and I'm Princess Peach. And it's like, I was like, what?
Sure.
Like, I remember Lindsay Wagner again. I know that's Lindsay Wagner because Kojima talks about Lindsay Wagner all the time, but I didn't remember this or that, or who is she? Is this a hologram at the end? Whereas for some reason this worked for me. But Jericho, what do you think when you compare Death Stranding 1 to Death Stranding 2?
I love the focus, like, as far as, like, you know, Sam's a quiet character. I think that was some of the criticism that some people have seen. Like, it's just Norman Reedus, and he doesn't have a lot of speaking moments, even in Death Stranding 2. But I do like what they did with the sequel, having. I feel like I got more from additional characters in this game. I feel like they are also on their personal journey, like with grief and like finding purpose. So not just Sam going along for the ride. And I do feel that it's almost like I almost hoped they would have more of moments like on this ship so I can learn more about these characters and talk to them more. I really wanted to have like a Mass Effect moment on Magellan at some point, but we never do. I'm sure there's some limitations with that, but all of the characters that join you on the Magellan are just so interesting. And it's pretty cool to see Kojima like really dedicate some good storylines to female characters, and you know, Fragile saved the day. So comparatively, like to the first game, they tie in some loose threads, but I felt like that was definitely more purposeful, like telling the stories with the additional cast.
Agreed. I think so too. And I'm glad to see you double back and bring up the female characters thing, because that's still something I'm seeing scuttlebutt around the internet and the think pieces, as there should be, if people dissecting and having issues in that. And I know on the review we asked you, Jericho, if anything stood out to you. Again, I thought it was done well, but I've seen blowback from that. Or not blowback, that's even again, I've seen op-eds about it. Has that surprised you, Jericho?
Yeah, because like just from my opinion, like I thought it was handled really well. I loved seeing like Fragile sort of bring in like how she was recruiting her team. And just hearing the story, like the background behind Rainey and like what she experienced, and just sort of the girls have their own club, like the gals on the ship, and like you constantly see like Sam wanting to participate and like wanting to chime in and sing and play the games that they're playing. He wants to hang out with them, which I was like, oh, let him hang out with y'all. But ultimately, like I did enjoy that sort of community that they built between Fragile, Rady, and Tomorrow. I thought that was pretty cool. And there was a line that like stuck out to me because like Sam's like, or they're about to head out and like do a mission. I forget exactly, go get supplies or something. And they're leaving, and he's like, well, are y'all gonna be careful? Like, are you gonna be okay? And like Tomorrow goes and says like, we're stronger than you. And I thought that was a pretty cool line. Just after seeing Tomorrow's like powers and abilities and that amazing cutscene that we had first with the BTs was pretty rad. But yeah, I enjoy, like, compared to the first game, like you just have so much more. It's more than just Sam and BB and Lou like on this mission. And yeah, Amelie or whoever that is from the first game in the red dress, like you have more, I don't know, like more human connection with these characters versus like top level weird science sci-fi stuff happening that's connecting them. It's like human, like more grounded in reality for their I guess what has happened to them and how they're connected with each other.
I agree with that in terms of like, if I were to compare the stories, right, I think 2 is probably a better story overall. But for me, the pacing of 1 is so solid, especially with the way that they do the Mads Mikkelsen stuff, which I think I wouldn't say I like the Neil Vanna stuff by the ending of it, but I don't love the pacing of it all. I think it was kind of like, we could have spaced those out a little bit better throughout the entire game. But also just the pure gameplay of 1, I prefer more than 2. And
Why?
That's not the shooting of it all, right? Of course, I wish I had, I can shoot people like normal in 1 like I did in 2, but I like how they space out the driving of it all, right? It is so walking focused in 1. By 2, within
fair.
like 3 hours, you get a car, right? And you're just driving around and you're building roads. I think that there's something meditative there. It also, you control a lot of the needle drops in the game a lot better when you are walking and you're going across a mountain. You're able to design that better. And it made that experience a lot more unforgettable for me, where in 2, I was just driving pretty much immediately and I'm just, running up entire mountains, and it just became kind of like a thing. At least, of course, I was playing in the worst scenario possible, right? With Snowbike Mike right next to me. And, it's not a way that you should ever play a video game, but it is something that I look back on 1, and I like that meditative quality of walking up a mountain and then building the zip line and doing it's still there, but you still want to.
That I feel you on.
Yeah.
Of like, that was what I think. But I think what's interesting of like, Death Stranding 1 is that for me. And I've said it so many times, being in Quebec City, all alone on a couch, playing it with snow falling outside and on a snowy mountain, just walking up. And it was that every one of those long journeys, long walks, felt like it could go wrong at any second. Yeah. I could tumble down the hill and ruin the package, blah, blah. Whereas this, again, was frictionless, where, I had the tri-cruiser right away and then got my big van and I was all
machine gun. And you're
I'm going around and do it. But I guess that's the... Power isn't the right word, but the grading on a curve of a sequel, where it's like, it works sometimes, like in a God of War game, to have all your abilities stripped away, but I like that we jumped back in and it wasn't like Sam had lost everything. And it was, to some degree, to the fun faster. Like, I do like having the big cruiser and just filling it up with stuff and like Santa and going around and doing that stuff like that. But you're not alone here. Charlie is in the chat right now and says, I think 1 has stronger needle drops too. Making it atop a hill and the music kicks in as you see a new landscape. Second, I drove almost everywhere and the music felt random with a few noticeable exceptions. Yeah. 1,000%, where it'd be like I'm listening to stuff on my music player, right? But then it would get the actual like cinematic one of the drop. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Blessing, you've been quiet. Where are you when you think about Death Stranding versus Death Stranding 2?
I definitely like Death Stranding 2 more. I think I was more invested in the story of Death Stranding 2, but I think the conversation is interesting because I think I view them as 2 parts of a whole, right? Like, I don't think Death Stranding 2 obviously couldn't exist without Death Stranding 1, but I think the through line that you get through both games complement each other very well, where I like both for different reasons. And I think, Greg, you mentioned it being more frictionless in Death Stranding 2, and I think that's the apter way to put it, as far as even the corpus and how that's implemented into cutscenes, and how I think the game does a way better job of kind of like, easing you into the world is not the phrase, because I think the game already expects you to know the rules of the world, and so they don't have to spend a lot of time explaining shit that is batshit insane to you. They can just like go through being like, oh, we got a chiral printer, and it's like, oh, I know what that is. Because
you got it ready to go.
Yeah, because he spent the first game telling us what the chirals are and the chiral network and how, all this shit. And so, like, when I'm in those first few cutscenes hanging out with Fragile and, she's talking about how, because of the chiral network, you now have APAS and, like, you have these autonomous machines that deliver packages. Immediately, I'm like, okay, no, that makes sense. And that is also an interesting implication for what that means for the world when you have these AI bots delivering things, but now you want to expand out into different locations. And like, I'm thinking about, again, like the threads. It's fun watching Roger in the beginning of the game be like, I don't trust these. I don't trust the expansion of like these things when you have the United Cities of America being the ones that are responsible. Like that, I don't know about that. And it's like, dude, the fact that you're having those thoughts about a game that is this batshit as far as what the properties of this world are, right? Like, I think Death Stranding 2 does a great job of just like trusting you to understand and also giving you the tools to understand what's going on without the friction of being in Death Stranding 1 and having to be like, wait, it's a beach? It's a BT? What the fuck is a beach?
Yeah.
All right, it's a beach thing? These are beach babies? Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, every new term, every new property introduced in Death Stranding 1 is like a brand new concept to you. And I think that makes it an inherently way different experience than in Death Stranding 2. But I also feel what Roger's talking about, because I think that it's almost like a conversation of friction versus non-friction when it comes to Death Stranding 1 and 2. Because I was playing Death Stranding 2 like a truck simulator for most of the game. where I go to the garage, I'm like, all right, who on my network has a truck that automatically picks things up and like has a turret on it, and like I get that truck and I drive to a long way to the next destination, and it is really like I am just in my vehicle listening to my music player, just having a good time. But I remember playing Death Stranding 1 and being on foot and being like, all right, shit, how am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to get across these snow mountains? Like, how am I going to get all the way over here? Like, you know, they would place certain objectives in front of me in Death Stranding 1, and literally I would have the feeling of like, I just don't know how I'm going to make that happen. Whereas in Death Stranding 2, they're like, all right, go across the map. And I'm like, all right, bet, cool. Like, let me get in my car. Let me load up on things. I'll pick shit on the way up, and I'm having way more of a relaxed kind of experience with it. I think overall I lean toward Death Stranding 2 just because the overall story and I think the characters and how that stuff I think invokes more of what Kojima's talented in when it comes to his writing, which I think is, you know, making every character shine, giving them their own unique backstories, and having like a wacky cast and crew. I think that's where Kojima's bread and butter is, and that stuff shines way more in Death Stranding 2 than in Death Stranding 1 for me. And yeah, I just really like the open world of Death Stranding 2. I think Death Stranding 2 is way more dynamic. You know, you have the fire shit going on. You have the gate quakes. You have rising and lowering water levels. You have the sandstorms. You have so many systemic things going on in Death Stranding 2, and you have like the animal shelter that you're delivering things to. There's just a lot going on in Death Stranding 2 that
run by churches.
Which is run by churches. There's just so much going on in Death Stranding 2.
You gotta have them in there.
Yeah, I definitely lean towards 2, but I definitely give 1 a lot of props for being a thing that I think is a bit more like confronting and a bit more like more obstacle filled as far as like how it wants you to experience, right? It's not as easy of experience, and I think there's value to that.
Of course. You were talking about Kojima's bread and butter, writing these weird characters, getting into his weird bag. Gooseberry has a take here. He admits, or they admit, hot take. Kojima is not good at writing characters, dialogue, or plot. He's not good, or he chooses to be bad. Ha ha. Roger, agree or disagree?
I disagree. I mean, he is very blunt, and he shows before, more than he tells a lot of the time. But saying he's bad is such an insane generalization to that, because he makes me, at least for me, he makes me feel. You know, what I mean, he can have a guy named Die Hard Man, and he was also a robot and dancing, and I'm fucking crying. But then also you have the other side of it, where literally during that sequence, not to get ahead of ourselves, but the dance sequence, Mike is right next to me, and he literally says a word that I've never heard him say: cringe. He's like, that's cringe, and I don't like that. And the people in the chat are split completely, right? Like,
interesting.
He's a very divisive writer. He's a very divisive creative, and I appreciate that. But specifically that sequence in the entire game, for speaking generally, it works for me. So yeah, I think calling him bad as a generalization kind of is a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who's loved Kojima basically my entire video game playing career, which I guess is totally not true, but you know what I mean. My adult video game playing career, starting with Metal Gear Solid on PS1, right? Like, I think he's so particular.
Yeah.
Like, I think he writes characters, dialogue, and plot unlike most people, most video game creators, and so that gives it a style of its own that I can understand could be jarring. You know, maybe it isn't the most Western presentation of stuff, but for me it works, and it is that idea of like, yeah, all right, Sam Porter Bridges isn't my dude, he isn't my character, right? But like, I was intrigued, I wanted to know what was going on, and I think to what we've been talking about, and even what Charlie said right in a chat I didn't get to yet, but I think they kept too much for the last third, which is something we talked about, of it being back end heavy in terms of exposition, characters, plot. That is true, and I agree with that, but I think it works for the journey we were on, where they were giving us enough breadcrumbs early on that kept it going. That's what Kojima does that works so well for me, Jerica, is introducing interesting ideas, keeping me on the path, and then giving me a big reveal. But does it work for you?
Yeah, I think that's why, like, it helped me want to continue, like, made me eager to explore the next area, because like I just wanted to. You know, I'm gonna do a little bragging right now. I knew tomorrow was gonna.
I knew
Goo
it. Gaga
the moment. We all saw. I was just so curious about like how they would get there, and never in a million years would I be able to predict that's how we got here. You know,
They left
and
her on the beach.
I didn't really see what was happening with Fragile, and like trying to predict that scenario. Like I had no idea, but yeah, like I love how much they kept from us. But yeah, to your point, like they gave us just enough to where it just made me want to keep playing. And I think that was the goal with the story. Like I said, I just wish it would have been more with like interacting on the ship.
Yeah.
God, I wanted to be able to talk to more of these characters. I wanted to hear Tarman talk about the tar more. Every time he says tar, I really enjoy it. The tar. So that was a little bit of a letdown on like for me from the story. Is like, man, I really want to talk to these characters more. And then there's Dollman. You know, I'm sort of word vomiting now. All the things I loved about this game. How did y'all feel about Dollman? What did y'all think about the old puppet?
Here's the thing. I like the idea of Dollman. I like Dollman and his interactions in cutscenes. I think he's really good. You know, after beating the game and coming back to play it right, one of the first things I did, you know, I'm on the bed and I turned and had just the usual, you want to talk to Dollman? And I don't know if this could have happened earlier, if it's just because I didn't do this often, talk to Dollman. But I was talking to Dollman and he said something and I was like, all right, keep talking. And he was to me like, do you want to know how I became a doll? And I got this whole cutscene about
I totally
him
missed that.
and his Ha and Ka being separated and his daughter being killed. And they're trying to see their mom who got, and I was like, this is fucking awesome. All of that shit about Dollman, I love. When I'm getting my ass whooped by a boss and he's like, Sam, have you thought about heal? I'm like, shut the fuck up,
You
Dollman.
dropped something.
Yeah, I know,
Shut up.
Dollman.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was hoping for
Yeah.
more. Agreed. Yeah.
I wanted
from
him to tell me stories. You know what I mean? I want him to tell me
Put it in
about
the mirror.
life. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just like I forgot he was on my hip most of the time until the
Same.
BT interactions, and he would get mad at me for dropping shit. I'm like, bro, shut up, calm down. How about you, Bless?
I fuck with Dollman. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you guys are saying, though, right? Like, I would have liked him to, have like maybe I think maybe some of those needle drops, because there's so many needle drops in Death Stranding 2 compared to Death Stranding 1. Maybe could have replaced some of those needle drops with, I was gonna call him Mimir, with Dollman storytelling moments and pieces of dialogue that felt more geared toward more narrative purposes as opposed to like mechanical purposes, which is something that I think comes back to the conversation we're having about like Kojima's writing, right? Where I think Kojima writes for video games in a way that's like very interesting and in a way that I really like, but also I wouldn't want everybody to do, where he over explains things to work within the world of this video game that you're playing in ways that like for me really immerse me and like really I think alter the experience, because it isn't just, hey Sam, go over here and then you check your map and then see all the hazards. The characters will tell you every single fucking hazard, right? Yeah. The characters will be like,
You'll see them on the map and then they'll tell you again, right?
Yes.
It's like that kind of thing.
They're like, they'll keep like they turn everything, every mechanic is like a narrative thing, you know? Every like element, every system is like there is a story implication for it, which leads to a lot of over explanation in the dialogue that we get, but also I like it. Like for me, it really immerses me in the world, and it's like kind of it's definitely like a Kojima, like a unique Kojima thing, right? And it's a thing that I like seeing. But in the conversation about the overall narrative of the game, like I totally understand somebody being like, this shit is either bad or doesn't make sense. And I think it comes back to what Greg was talking about, which is like your taste and like Kojima's particular and all that stuff, right? Because like, yeah, Mike saying the dance scene is cringe. It's funny because like for me, I'm like Kojima, I think, has that balance, right, of sugar and spice that he has to make, where like the dance scene is totally out of nowhere and it's bizarre and it's fucking weird, and I fucking love it because it's bizarre and weird and out of nowhere. For me, that's the
when
whole...
it started, I was like, this is what I've been waiting for.
Yep.
Go nuts.
Literally,
go
yeah.
off, Kojima, go off.
Exactly. And like that's what I look for. But also, I totally understand anybody that's like, no, that's not, like, what the fuck am I watching right now? But for me, that's the emotion that it wants to elicit, and like I like how that makes me feel. Yeah. I like when I get to the reveal of like, oh, and tomorrow's actually the baby, and all this crazy shit's going on. Oh, this crazy shit's going on, you know?
Yeah, so specifically with the dance scene, I adore that because it is like true hope core, right? Like the whole idea is that it is against the president hive mind alien thing that is trying to be like, hey, we're going to use the connection of the chiral network, the internet, to then take everybody and also ruin their lives and to make sure no one evolves as an entire species. And then he's like, fuck that, I'm going to dance. I'm going to show you how good the internet can be. And like that to me, like that's nice. That's nice. And like Kojima talked about how he rewrote a lot of Death Stranding 2 after the pandemic or during the pandemic to kind of make it a little bit happier and more of a hopeful tale and not just so depressing as Death Stranding 1 and the sequel to that one could have been. So I like that. I appreciate that a lot. Talking about like the twists of it all, I am very split because I think there's one too many twists, right? Like there's too many things that happen in that ending sequence that just does not need to be either twists, reveals, or just doesn't even need to be a thing. Like,
I want to hear you break it down, Roger. But first, I'll remind you, of course, that this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we come together to talk about the biggest topics in gaming. If you like that, pick up a Kind of Funny membership to support our 11-person small business with a dream. You can grab it on patreon.com/kindoffunny, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, Apple or Spotify. You can get every episode of our show and all our shows ad-free, as well as your daily dose of me, Greg Miller, in a series we call Greg White. But right now, you're not using your benefits. So here's a word from our sponsor.
This episode's brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or simply return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team are always there to have your back with personal and fast support. Y'all know I've been outside a lot playing Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing Shady Rays when I'm out and about looking dope. Exclusively for you, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code FUNNY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Again, go to shadyrays.com, use code FUNNY to get 35% off polarized sunglasses.
And we're back. Roger, talk to me about this belief that there's too many twists and turns.
Yeah, let me just read off some of the twists here, and then I'll break down the ones that I think that are not great. I mean, Die Hard Man is Charlie, right? Cool. We have the.
Hold on. I love that one.
Oh, I love it. It's so dumb because he literally is a Die Hard Man the entire game.
Yeah, and they don't let you choose. Like,
yeah,
they give you the choice of like who you want, and they're like,
I literally went through all
Yes,
three of the other options, and then it was like Die Hard Man. They're like, oh yeah, we'll be Die. I'm like, all right, well, what are we doing here?
Yeah, the president is evil, duh, but also he's like a hive mind of 4,000 people. That's kind of cool.
I fuck with that.
Was cool.
Yeah, the hive mind
at first
thing
it
is
was
cool.
like, because it was so funny when they kept on doing the thing of like the president would show up and he'd be talking to you, and then he would turn black and white. He'd be like, oh, by the way, I'm on a secure line right now. I gotta talk to you.
No,
Like,
it's so funny because you got to the point late in the game where it's like, I think it was Fragile. It was somebody who's part of the drawbridge, right? Who's like, I don't trust that guy.
Yeah.
And then the president's like, I don't trust them. Like something weird is going on, right? And it's like, oh, who do you trust? And I thought that was gonna be a story decision do you side with drawbridge or do you side with the president? And no, this is like, oh no, the president's a hive mind.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, okay, cool.
He's got one earring, we know. So he's that was that. And then also Higgs is the secret bad guy. He's like, I've been playing you guys. I knew this entire thing the entire time, and I'm also the secret bad guy. Then we have the BB is actually dead. That happened a little earlier. Before that,
Can we stop real quick?
Yeah,
because that is one of mine. Did that surprise you?
The BB is actually dead? No, not at all, because they say it pretty much. Like,
that's
literally,
what I thought.
Dollman says it.
When they get to the thing where like there's the big reveal, one of the big reveals, and Sam puts it all together, I was like, is this a real reveal? Because like I feel like I've known this the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being like frustrated the entire game because I was like, I still have to take care of the baby. He's dead. I know.
The game tries so much to paint that as a twist that I started to believe it. Where I was like, wait, maybe the baby's not, because like I started having a conversation, I think, with Barrett and also people at the preview event where I was like, well, Dooms is what allows you to see BTs, so maybe what's his name, Dollman doesn't have Dooms the same way. But then I'm like, well, he's in a doll, so he probably has Dooms.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a weird one for sure.
Yeah, and then going through them really quickly, they have the whole Neil Vanna stuff, which I'm sure that's gonna be a whole section of this podcast. The one that I think is egregious, that I think is like we got to talk about, is the Red Samurai. That sucked. We got it like that. Fucking. You can't have two reveals of Dead Man. You can't be like Dead Man is also inside of Heartman. Also, his dead body is. It's like it was the most nothing reveal possible with the coolest character.
Yeah,
like it should have just been anything. If we didn't have any other Dead Man, I would be like, okay, cool, that's a fine reveal. But like we can't have two Dead Man reveals. No.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was lame.
Agreed.
But yeah, I guess maybe we talk about Neil Vanna now.
Well, yeah, I guess I was going to talk about the tomorrow thing.
Let's talk about that.
Because I was surprised. Yeah, how did that twist sit with you?
Oh, that Goo Goo Gaga, that she's baby? Yeah, I mean, I knew that from immediately.
Oh, okay.
Immediately. Yeah, it was a thing in the chat where we're playing the game, and then someone in the chat, like who was not a spoiler, like they were just like playing along with us, and they were like, "Is that she kind of looks like Lou? Maybe maybe that's a thing." And I was like, "Okay, here's the thing: if the next scene we see her, she's suckering her thumb and saying Goo Goo Gaga, that's the baby, and the next scene she's eating the fucking thing, she's throwing the blocks. I'm like, this is so obvious, and
so fucking
and they
funny.
like wrap up her arm, so like that's exactly where like throughout the entire game, that's where the birthmark is. It is so obvious and apparent, but I thought it was fine. Like I wasn't like it didn't blow my mind, but like I think that's on purpose, right? He laid it on thick there.
I was very much oblivious to it.
Whoa.
For not to the end, because at some point Barrett walked by to go have his fucking cigarette, and he looked at me and he's like, "I told Blessing my theory." He's like, "The baby on the main screen looks a lot like Elle Fanning," and I was like, fuck. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I hadn't even thought about it. I hadn't even worried about it at this point. Yeah.
Do you guys remember? This is years ago, before I think they even officially announced Death Stranding 2, where Kojima started teasing. I think he might have just been teasing like DS2 or whatever it was, but he wouldn't announce the game. And there was a whole thing where he put up a silhouette of Elle Fanning.
Yes.
And it was, who is she?
Yes.
This led to a controversial KFGD where I was like, oh, she's gonna play the baby in Death Stranding 2, and everybody got on my ass.
Controversial KFGD.
It was so like heated because I was like, guys, no, Elle Fanning, she played a baby in this other thing.
I'm telling you right now, go break that out. Go break that out.
I need to find it because people were so fucking mad at me, and I was 1,000% right. I was 1,000% right, and like I might go back and try to find it.
Yeah, we got to do that.
I'll definitely like have kind of cringe because like. I was so heated. I was so heatedly trying to make the argument that she was the baby.
Craig's desk is stuck.
Kevin, I said the desk up, but I can't bring it down.
Stuck now.
Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that was Jericho. Were you? Did you have the entire way? Did you know?
I mean, I knew we were gonna get to that point, but yeah, I was just wondering, like, is this another scenario? Yeah, just like the sci-fi of this story that am I not spot on? Is Lou actually there? But Sam is like the only one that can see Lou. Like I knew something has happened, but I knew the baby's not dead. Like just something has happened. So the reveal of actually how it came to be was a surprise for me. I can never predict a Kojima game, unfortunately. I knew though it was going to be Lou.
I still don't kind of get it.
I agree with you.
In what way?
From the poster, I was like, you don't believe it?
I don't understand how, because Lou is the baby that Norman Reedus is
his biological baby.
So how did the baby end up being a baby like 11 years later? When
it's a great question.
You know what I mean? Like
now I'm thinking about it too. That doesn't make sense.
Well, no, because it was put into the BB holder.
Yes.
So they don't. So okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The BBs that are inside of their little containers are very similar to the baby that would be inside of Rainy, right? Where time is frozen for
like 7 months.
Okay, that makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense in a Death Stranding way.
And they break free. And they start
my
growing.
biggest
humongous.
I mean, there was a big baby. There was a big baby in that game. I think my biggest confusion was just always like, then how did that baby end up on the carrier that then Norman Reedus was on? Was that just luck? Was that his sister mother pulling the strings? You know what I mean? Like that. Like I don't understand how that happened, but like it's whatever. I guess that's by chance. Ponton saying in chat, I guess. All right.
Really?
Yeah, I guess that's just
somebody's pulling the string.
Yeah, I guess it's like Interstellar. I don't know. Love connects us all.
Oh wow,
whatever.
Love does connect us all.
But
I didn't understand. I didn't know how they were gonna explain the time difference either, or whatever. But then this whole and maybe this is back to your maybe one too many twists. Of like Fragile bringing Lou into the beach space and leaving it there. I was like, that's cool. And she's like, also, I've been dead this whole time.
Yeah,
it's like wait, what?
I was like, and that's where I thought that Fragile was bad. All right, let's talk about that for a second.
Bring it on. Lay it on.
I was so sus this entire game of like I knew something was up because it just felt off, and I was like, man, Fragile is bad, and like maybe it was the beret, maybe it was the fact that she was bringing on everybody, and like it kind of felt like she was Magneto, like she was bringing on all these people at their lowest, like that are super powerful, and also like she wasn't like particularly nice to Sam during his whole situation. Like she was like, you got to get up and just go, just get up, bro, just keep on, just walk and connect to Australia.
Some dirt on it.
Yeah, just rub some dirt on it. Don't worry about it, homie. But she was fine, I guess. She was good at the ending. It's just like she's not a really good friend. Like,
so you believed the president when the president was like, "Oh no, man."
I kind of a little bit. Yeah, I thought this was gonna lead to like Death Stranding 3, where Fragile was the bad guy. And if you kind of replay that game, do you think about it from my point of view? I think you get it.
Honestly, though, that would be kind of sick.
It would
like if Fragile was actually a bad character the whole time.
Well, it was such a fishy thing, right? Of like, hey, go off on this mission, and of course, while you're on that mission, something happens. Lou's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, or Lou's gone.
Yeah, the first time I see you in 11 months. And then also I have this secret organization that's working with the government, but not working with the government.
I'm no longer old.
Yeah. Oh.
Underneath my outfit.
She's fragile, but she's not fragile.
She's not that fragile.
Not that fragile.
Yeah.
Fragile.
Now we're at a point, you guys keep tiptoeing around Neil. But I want to talk about Higgs so badly.
Okay.
We can go either way. We can do Neil and get to Higgs.
Let's talk about Higgs.
Fucking Troy Baker.
Dude,
So
he's
good.
locked in.
What a fucking performance. What a standout role for him. What a goddamn boss fight at the end. You know what I mean? On the review, I talked about it. I was an hour and a half from finishing it, and I was like, does Kojima still have it for boss fights? I still think it's a worthwhile conversation, because I do think the BT fights, boring. The fighting Higgs's octopus, boring. These aren't engaging, but this finally getting up there and just, you know what? Let's just do Liquid versus Snake again, shirtless for the third time, but this time with guitars. Like, fucking, this is amazing.
Hell yeah.
I can't believe how strongly they invoked Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of Metal Gear Solid references in this game. Like a lot of MGS5 and MGS4.
Kept you waiting.
Yeah, it kept you waiting. And then like doing the boss fight and like having the boss, or having like the almost like the fighting game health bars that they also did in Metal Gear Solid 4 on top of the thing that they're fighting on. Like so strongly invoked to the point where I was like, this is a bit much, but I'm not going to complain. Yeah, I was like, is Konami going to see this and be like, yo, what the fuck?
Tarman pretty much looks at the camera and says Phantom Pain and winks. Like, you know what I mean?
He literally does, yeah. He like pauses. He is like, it's sort of a Phantom Pain.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, hold on. Can you say that?
So funny.
Jerica, what did you think of Higgs and his fight?
I think this whole game too, and even thinking about the first one, just obviously the story can be emotional and it's just wacky and in your face, over the top, and that's just what's so beautiful about a Kojima game. But man, that whole scene, like even the point where they're like, or Sam's like running on the beach, you got Magellan Man. I was like, oh shit, this is about to be our Avengers moment. Like it's just so much going on, and to end up like having a full-blown conversation with Higgs while trying to get, I guess, the last place we're gonna fight was just visually just a part of the story too, like just such a work of art and something that makes me feel things just for being how epically cool it looks. And yeah, just seeing the dude shirtless doing their thing with their guitars was very entertaining. I took a lot of pictures because that was pretty it definitely could be a great wallpaper for my computer. It was so cool.
See, for me, it's more, I got a lot of photos of Higgs shirtless, Troy Baker there, because I want to make sure I use them come Christmas and do remember he's the reason for the season. Because he looks so much like Jesus, I thought, and some of the outfits he was doing there and some of the things that was happening with his shirtless nature there. But that guitar fight, like, when they gave you the guitar and they're like, oh, but there's also so much chiralium in the air, you can just use it indefinitely. I was like, that's fucking awesome. Let's go. And like the stop, you have to shred it points. That was the other thing. Like, I did all that, and then, like, I pulled Tim aside, and I made him watch. Busting was there. I made him watch, like, 20 minutes of the battle just to get all of it in there or whatever. So good.
Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Such a fun fight. And again, as somebody who's craving more and more weird Kojima shit, to have it be that, like, we have the entire fight, and then Lou comes out of the space vagina and stands there and then eats Troy.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck yeah. This is what I wanted.
The scene that I think about a lot is the boss fight, or not boss fight, the fight against it's not even a fight, when he just burns Sam alive, and he just keeps on reincarnating and coming through.
Yeah,
that to
was
me
cool.
is like the biggest standout. What a dope moment.
I love that Kojima has his staples, because for me that is the moment of like Raiden being tortured in Death Stranding 2, or like Snake being tortured in Metal Gear Solid. Like
for me, it was so reminiscent of Snake crawling through the microwave at Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah,
I
I would put that as another one of those, right? Like I feel like Kojima oftentimes has these things of like, all right, this is toward the end of the game, this is where the main character gets tortured and you have to tap a button, and then after that, here's the big fight on top of the thing, right? But yeah, it kind of felt cool. That felt like another harken back to like what Kojima typically does in like a Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Anything else for Higgs, or do you want to move on to Neil Vanna?
I mean, just all the choreography. I'm shout out to fight choreography in Kojima games. Like, I don't know who on the team or like how they just consistently always have like really good cutscenes and really good fight choreo. But yeah, I just love watching the Deathman baby robot fight Higgs. In the warehouse scene.
I'm gonna throw out here a little hot take. Not even too hot of a take. I'm not mad at it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy. I'm happy with Higgs and his performance, and especially that final boss fight. But I was kind of looking forward to something with the president. I actually liked where they were going with that. I liked that reveal, and so to have that kind of moment where it's like, oh, by the way, it's actually secretly Higgs again. It's like, okay, we did this, been there, done that a little bit. Like, I wanted something new. I wanted something a little bit. I mean, it is interesting. It is cool. But
another clip I saved is when the president's talking and Norman Reedus just goes, "You're not even real, are you?" And this crab crawls around his shoulder. Like, that's fucking lame.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like the president was like the most like compelling character, but it was like what they were pushing towards was more compelling to me than Higgs is on the beach and he was secretly pulling the string. So to have that kind of like sideline so fast was just kind of a little bit disappointing, because again, it goes back to like the twists for having twists sakes of like he's just like, hey, we're gonna have this thing and then this thing and this thing. Oh, no, it's actually Higgs. I just wanted them to stick with one of those. So yeah,
I liked Higgs being there. 4,000 souls in Higgs. Just in their weird data beach. Loved it.
Just live
but
forever.
Again, one of my things about the Kojima and boss fights was that guitar fight at the end there, shirtless, amazing. Right before it, I was so like, where I'm just shooting him around these giant stone / whatever computer pillars.
Yeah.
Where it would be he would just teleport and I would hit the pulse button and see he was over there and then aim and slowly come around and shoot him with my guitar. I was like, this sucks. Like, this isn't a fun fight. But then it was super fun.
Yeah,
so
man,
it's,
really
it's
cool.
sweet and sour. It pays off, but I think it solidifies what I'm talking about.
I found a tweet from a while ago, by the way. This is from September 15th, 2022. And this is me, like, again, on my rant. This is me on, like, my, like, what's his name? Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, connecting the dots. And this is, like, me posting the KFGD where I was angry on, talking about, I'm expecting apologies from everyone in chat when this is revealed to be a Death Stranding thing. And this is, like, Kojima just tweeting out, like, the who am I thing with, like, the silhouette of Elle Fanning. I then reply to it saying, quote, who am I? Elle Fanning played a character named Lucy, who was the daughter of a single father named Sam in I Am Sam. Spoilers for Death Stranding. Sam Porter Bridges is literally the single father of a baby named Lou after his wife Lucy. Yeah. Right. So this is me connecting the dots that this is Sam's daughter here from September 15th, 2022, before the game was announced.
Look at you.
Damn, look at that.
Come on,
you did it, man.
Come on,
you did it, Bless. Neil Vanna, Solid Snake.
He's just Solid Snake.
That's my guy.
Go off on him, Bless.
I mean, like, here's the thing. I loved everything about him. The Neil Vanna Nirvana thing was so fucking corny and forced.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you're pulling out. Like,
that's the part where I draw the line. He was like, "Oh, it's not Nirvana, it's Neil Vanna." I'm like, "Shut the fuck up."
Doll man,
fucking doll man.
Yeah, open your ears.
But I fucking loved the Nirvana segments. I thought they got better with every one. Also,
really? Were you fighting him and the dudes?
Yeah.
I just found him so boring to shoot those dudes and then shoot him and run around and shoot.
But it goes by
love the
fast.
vibe.
It goes by faster than the last one, but with the
for sure. I'll give you that. It's faster, but
I just loved the mechanic. Like for the second one to be you're in this underwater thing and you're jumping high and like anti-gravity shit. That was cool. But then you get to the third one and it is them like walking on the ceiling and like fucking the world's collapsing on itself and then you're like in the air.
Multiverse of Madness shit.
Like all that shit for me. I was like, I don't care that these are just shooting galleries. Like the way that you're setting them up and framing them, and then also the setting that you're putting all these seasons in, I thought went so fucking hard.
Yeah, I think I prefer, if we were to do the 1 versus 2, the Mads Mikkelsen stuff versus the Neil Vana stuff, I prefer the Mads Mikkelsen stuff. I think that's
Really?
just for the pure story of it, right? Like the Neil Vana stuff, like by the ending of it, I was like, okay, I get, like I understand what you're going for, but having Mads Mikkelsen, one, you think that he's the father of the BB on your chest, but it's like, oh no, he's your father. That's like, oh shit, what a crazy reveal. And then also having those really like nice cutscenes, like every single time that you come from the private room upwards, and then you can see Mads Mikkelsen being like, "Baby, I'm gonna take you to the moon, baby," and it's like, it ranges
Christmas,
from
baby.
yeah, it ranges from silly to like very serious, and you get that every single time you're coming up from the private room, and to not really have that, you get these weird flashes, and then they just kind of give it all to you at the ending, and it's like, I wish that those were spaced out a lot more, and if you're just copying the same thing, which you're doing the same thing from Death Stranding 1, that was a winning formula in my opinion. Just do it again. You could have taken those segments, those cutscenes, and dropped them in at key moments throughout the story. I don't think you needed to have that all in the ending. The ending reveal could have been that he was the one that caused the void out, which I think was good enough.
Yeah.
You could have had all of those things spaced out a little bit better. So that's my big criticism of it. But I liked actually playing the Neil Vana stuff more than I did the Mads Mikkelsen stuff.
Mm-hmm. Greg, how do you feel about it?
I liked all the cutscene stuff with him. I thought, again, the reveals were interesting. Bottled up there at the end of like, it's not your baby, it is your baby. I was protecting your baby. Like, what is going on? Like, I don't like what's up with it. But his wife still cheated on him, but it's not his baby. I'm like, that complicates it as well. I feel like with their weird ass connection, right, to the thing seared in their hands that they touched when it was nuclear hot or whatever, I feel like that was enough of a connection for them to have I get it that they have a bond that is strong, but I didn't think it needed to be romantic. I was waiting for them to take back that she cheated on Sam with him as well. And when they didn't do that, I was like, that's a weird one to do. I feel like we just didn't need that because it's still complicated then with Lou's involvement or whatever, but I understand relationships are complicated. But yeah, I bitched on the review about the fights, and now that we can just talk about them, Baby Dawn X7 chats and goes,
Hell yeah.
Greg, what are you looking for when I was talking about these fights? Like, I just find those fights to be mechanically uninteresting. When I want a Kojima fight or a video game fight, I want to feel, I guess the biggest thing about it is I didn't feel challenged. I felt like they were brain dead. And it was, go hide behind something. Pulse. All right, my gun's loaded up. Come around. I'm just gonna run. When I finally got even further into them, I was like, I'm just gonna run up on Neil every time, get him to shoot, so he pops and goes to the next. And then I'd be chasing him to the next thing, and something like, how do I get up there? What am I doing? I was never mechanically interested in the fight. I was always narratively interested in what was going to be the cutscene I got and where we were going and what the connection here was. But mechanically, I never had a feeling, and this goes back to my boss battle thing of, I never had a Revolver Ocelot, Metal Gear Solid 1, a Vulcan Raven, like, you know what I mean? A Sniper Wolf, like, I was just hiding behind shit and shooting people. It's almost this is a deep cut, stick with me if you're with me. It's almost comparing Metal Gear Solid PlayStation 1's Revolver Ocelot fight to Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes GameCube fight, where when they added in first person, well, then now the game's broken. Now I can just stand there and go, bam, there he is, bam, there he is, okay. And this was the same thing of, I'm way overpowered, I pulse, I can see where they are, I come around, I shoot. There's thousands of guns on the ground, so if I'm ever out of it, I don't have to be prepped for it to go into this. This game overall, right, is such a, oh man, what I love about Death Stranding, oh man, I am going across the map. All right, well, what missions could I bring with me on the side? I'm probably going to run into a BT, so let's bring some, but maybe if I hit up this mule camp, I'll need more wet. Like, there's so much planning that goes into just leaving a base, and then you get into these fights, and it's just like, it's fucking Sam, it's raining grenade launchers for no reason. Like, you should use you just got the quad rocket. Why are you not using that? Here they are. And it's just like, this just isn't fun. Go ahead.
I think for me, it's sort of, because I agree with you as far as like mechanically, the boss fights can be very one note, and it is, all right, just shoot down these things or shoot the weak points on the thing and then go on to the next thing, right? And I think for me with Kojima and like oftentimes gameplay, but I think more so with boss fights in particular, Kojima's at his best when he's being a magician and when he's like finding ways for you to engage in boss fights that aren't actually like straight up action. Here's the strict mechanics of the game. Like a lot of the games, it's like a lot of video games you play. It is, all right, here's an amped up version of what you've been doing the whole game, and that's going to be the boss fight, and the boss is going to have different phases, but like for the most part, if I'm playing Elden Ring, I'm going to dodge and hit. I'm going to dodge and like read the enemies' animations. It's about how well can I play the game.
Yeah.
For Kojima, when I think about a Sniper Wolf, when I think about a even like a Vulcan Raven or Psycho Mantis or The End or like so many of the Kojima things, is less about how well can you play this game and more so what's the trick that Kojima's pulling on you.
Yeah.
Like what is the magic trick that like he is trying to pull, and like the different like the puzzle he wants you to solve within the boss fights. But oftentimes when he wants you to just engage in the boss, that is strictly like Metal Gear Solid 4 did this a lot. Hey, like just, you know, we gave you guns, just use the guns to shoot down this thing. It's oftentimes just less interesting because the games aren't necessarily, I don't know if he necessarily knows how to do straightforward boss fights as much.
That's a great way to put it. In the puzzle element, like the magic trick element of the old games, yes, and I think that's completely lacking here.
Yes.
These fights.
Yeah, 1000%.
Yeah, it was way too easy. And I honestly, like, I respect the storyline, but yeah, if they could have nailed down, like, why these two guys are fighting maybe a little bit sooner, that would have added to some of the, I don't know, how I feel with putting myself in his shoes, trying to understand, like, why are we even fighting this guy? Why does he keep bringing Sam back into the land of the dead? Why is this happening? And they sprinkle a little bit of that throughout, but yeah, I agree with you guys. The spectacle of those levels is really cool, but the gameplay itself wasn't nothing revolutionary.
What else do you guys want to touch on? There's a lot going. Oh god, here he comes. What's going on? What's Andy doing? Oh, Andy's getting his headphones.
Oh, he's just getting his headphones.
Andy, how deep into Death Stranding 2 are you?
Dude, I haven't gone back.
He hasn't gone back.
Damn.
But I'm just like,
Oh yeah.
waiting for the right
Wants
time.
to, can't do. You gotta go back.
He's waiting for the right time.
Waiting for the right
He
time.
doesn't like it.
Meanwhile, he's playing rematch.
I was gonna say
night.
too much
Yeah.
rematch to play.
Unless you want to hop on, let me know.
I'll let you know.
I want to talk about the most underutilized character, in my opinion, which was Deborah Wilson's character, Doctor. I thought that everything that they showed there was so compelling to me. Like, more than Rainey, more than Tomorrow, more than anybody in that entire new crew. Like, I was so like emotionally fucked up by everything that Deborah Wilson was putting down and everything she was saying, and in that whole faction of women that are pregnant but can't give birth to their babies, and like this kind of curse that she has where she's able to help these women, but it's like not really helping. It's more of just showing, hey, your baby's still alive. Now it goes right back, and you have to just kind of hope and pray that something's going to happen one day and you're going to be able to give birth. And it was really depressing, but it was also like just very interesting. And I wanted
100%.
to kind of see more of it. I have not done a lot of the side stuff, so I don't know how much is there in terms of that, but I was expecting that to be like a core part of the story and her to maybe become part of the group or something like that. But we just kind of moved past it as kind of like a way to show like how deep the weapons have come into the Australian outback right there, of how they have guns and they're really willing to fight. So it was just a little bit weird. It was like kind of like a start and a stop right there.
Yeah, I really loved that character. I really love that performance. I think Deborah Wilson's awesome at it. So it's like I want to get back to it. That's one of the things of I intend to keep playing this game. And every time I've turned it back on and gone off and done something, I'm shocked at how much I still enjoy it and how much I still get out of it. In the chat, Couch Ebo said, Death Stranding 2 is the perfect podcast game. Don't tell Kojima lol. I don't agree with that because I'm engaged with the story, but it is I like listening to music on my Cupid and I'm wandering around doing the thing, and then you get that story element. You get to check in on what's going on here. I said it yesterday when I was streaming it here on Kind of Funny, of just like, man, this is the perfect streaming game for me. Like, I enjoy playing it, but chatting away while I'm driving and navigating and doing the thing, and then we all stop and watch the cutscene or whatever. I like that so much in terms of how it fills out. But yeah, the Deborah Wilson stuff's great, and I do intend to get back to it.
Hell yeah.
Did she stand out for you, Jerica?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I'd love to, and there might be more there. That's just why I'm going back and play. I normally don't revisit a game after I roll
Same.
credits. I'm like, I got what I need, but there's just so much here. And especially with the motherhood, I'm curious, like, does that open up in any other ways? So, yeah, God, I'm based on some of the scenes you get at the end, like, it seems like Rainey has her child, like, was, the doctor, her character, part of making that happen, or was what happened at the end what allowed the baby to be born?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, so maybe just some extra bits would have been great. But yeah, loved her performance. She plays Sabathun in Destiny 2, so I always love to see
Oh,
Deborah
yeah.
Wilson.
Mad TV as well.
Great
Of
voice.
course, yeah. Suicide Squad, never forget.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Fuck.
I was like, there's so many Suicide Squads.
Yeah.
I was like, where are we at?
Of course, my favorite side character, Pizza Man.
Fuck yeah.
I'm happy to see him being so
same
successful
here.
out there. That was the clip I showed Blessing on the review, was Sam facing off against Pizza Man at the end of his quest line. Love that. I love that I've seen so many people do exactly what I did. Take the screenshot of like, those who disrespect pizza do not deserve to live. Like, I'm ready to use it whenever I need to. Love that guy.
It's funny because when you're talking about like, oh man, there's this scene. So many other scenes came to mind.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen that one, right? But like the fact that there's so much in this game that is like really quality that you could show somebody that might like make their brain explode. Did you guys ever play the song Horizon Dreamer for Dollman?
Yeah, we did that on stream. That was sick.
Yeah.
That shit was
Yeah.
so good. I mean, do you want to do it or do you want to?
No, tell me. I like spoiling this part.
Well, when you talk to Dollman, right? Like, obviously, he has like his list of dialogues that he'll say, and one of the things he says is like, "And I really like the song Horizon Dreamer by this artist." And then if you go into your music player and play it, and then talk to him again, he's like, "Sam, do you have a moment?" And then if you say yes, it'll then cut to him, and then like 5 more of him doing choreography to the song Horizon Dreamer, and then like it'll have, I guess the artist will pop in also and will like lead the choreography, and it goes for like the full fucking 5 minutes of this song. Like, very excellently mocapped, like J-pop, I assume, like you know, dance choreography, and it's fucking cool. It's just like, yeah, him and a bunch of puppets dancing.
That's awesome.
It's sick.
And Sam's like just sitting in the back, like,
Yeah,
and like doing some of the dances with them, and it was.
and I got
so
that song
good.
just stuck in my head now. Like, ever since I found that
I gotta check that
that
out.
scene,
It's incredible.
it's just been stuck in my head.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing with so many. I feel like every time I play, like I said, I do a side op or whatever. I find that something new happens that way. It'll be interesting to see how long before it's all spoiled, or if that ever ends. You know,
know.
as I continue to tinker with this game. You know, I don't plan on. I would have every intention of platinuming it. I don't think that'll ever happen. I think it'll just be that I tinker with it here and there and do stuff with it. But before we get too far off of music, Caroline Polachek.
Oh, hell yeah.
On the Beach. Of
Yeah.
course, the song you made happen, Roger. It's well documented around here for realsies. Even Jeff Keighley giving you the shout out by name at the
Oh,
London
shit.
event. Pretty cool.
Wild stuff. Yeah, wild stuff. Shout out to that. That was really cool to happen live on the stream.
Raj, what is your review, take, whatever? You stayed away from the song. Caroline, when you were recording the podcast, offered to let you listen to it. You said, no, I want to hear it in game.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I think it's a song that's definitely grown on me as I listen to it outside of the game, and also go back to it a second time in the context of the game outside of the stream. But yeah, I really enjoy it. It's funny because when I talked to her, she was like, "Oh, it's like such a different song than I've ever made," and like I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it is very much in the vein of the era that she made it in, which is her Pang era, her first album, her first solo album, and yeah, it feels like it could definitely live on that album, and that's really refreshing and really cool. So yeah, me and Leanza re-listened to her first album, and we're trying to find like kind of like there's a lot of motifs there that are inside of the On the Beach song and like connections to it, which is funny. There's a lot of connections to the first song on that album, which is called The Gate. Which, you know, of course, it's a plate gate, and that's connection there. So I wouldn't be surprised if those were kind of like branching songs, right? Where she made the gate and then she also made this song as well. So that's kind of funny there. But yeah, really cool stuff, and it was definitely an honor to play that on stream and react to that live for sure.
Ponton says, don't hate me, but I didn't really like On the Beach song as much as the others in the game.
I hate you. That's how it works, bro.
Raj, I got to agree with Ponton.
Ah, shit. You
The
didn't
song's
like it?
whack, bro.
Blessing, did you like this song?
No.
Really?
Oh no. And like, here's the thing, right? I when I got there, it was one of those things where I was so shocked by like the Caroline Polachek pop up that I was like,
yeah.
oh fuck, let's go.
Yeah.
And I came back and I did the music player thing, right? Where I was like, okay, I can make playlists now, and I put the song on there, and then after a while, I was like, I'm gonna take this song off.
Damn.
Take
Okay.
this song off.
Yeah, it didn't work for me either. I'm the
Yeah.
least musically educated probably person in the office. I like my pop stuff and I like that, but it was like to compare it to Death Stranding with churches,
Yeah.
like that opened the door to me of like I love churches because finding them there. Whereas Caroline, you opened the door with the album, and I've listened to her stuff, and I love Caroline Polachek. I think her stuff's great. The most recent album that named
Yeah, Desire Wants to Turn Into.
yeah, I was so into. And so I was expecting a lot from this. And I got there, I was like, oh, this is very experimental. This isn't I described it to Bless as like, this sounds like, you published the wrong song, where it's like these are all you're editing it in this like timeline, and you had all this stuff over here.
You know what's funny is that there's two versions of the song. If you go onto Spotify, she has the regular version that's in the game, and then she has the Timefall version, which is more of a stripped back version. I actually prefer that version of the song, and I think that if that song was played either at the ending or just replaced in it, I think it would be a way better experience because it removes a lot of the weird synths going on there, and it's more of just like a stripped back experience. It is a better version in my opinion. So yeah, if you listen to that, I think you might come around. To it. Yeah, it's not in game. Which is good. Yeah, it's not weird. It's weird that both versions aren't in the game, but yeah, if you go on Spotify, you should listen to it for sure.
I'm looking at my like songs because I added so much other music from this game because I thought the soundtrack is so well done. I want to give a special shout out to Jen Hoshino. Star is in the game, and then I liked it so much I went and listened to the entire album.
Hell yeah.
Has a whole bunch of GameCube and like Nintendo sounds in it and stuff.
Sick.
Fucking love it. Great stuff over there.
I will say, Woodkid.
Woodkid, right?
Woodkid.
Yeah.
Woodkid showed up to the situation. Like
That is an insane way to say that.
showed up to the occasion, whatever.
The situation.
He showed up to the situation. But yeah,
Shit, I would say.
there was a lot of good like Woodkid shit in here. I was like, yo, Woodkid's kind of cooking on the soundtrack. So
Yeah.
shout out to my guy, Woodkid.
Jericho, what did you think of the Caroline song or the soundtrack in general?
Yeah, I mean, I was all up in like Woodkid's I guess contributions to this game, and I think the journey is so cool. Like I obviously started listening to Woodkid like through watching Arcade, the songs that he did for that show, and I just like, man, how does that guy's voice get so deep, and then he can like softly sing too, and like what the heck is that? It's wild, and like him like going through the motions working on Arcade and Death Stranding, just like how much of him is involved with the, I'm not musically trained either, but like the engineering of the sound and like learning how to slow down certain songs, like if that matches the movement of when you're playing, like and act scenes with action, it's faster. And like just hearing him talk about it is really cool, and just how much he had hands on. Like I need more of his stuff in video games. It's really cool.
I love the rainy theme. When we first got to that big rainy cutscene, I was like, yo, this is a track right here. And then also the Tomorrow, not even just the Tomorrow fight scene, but the song that plays when you're on your way to find Tomorrow, I thought was beautiful as well. Like, I actually really do love this soundtrack overall. I think overall there are a lot of good choices. I can't remember exactly which theme it is, but there's a theme that plays a lot toward the end of the song. In fact, I think it's the song they sing, actually. I forget who sings it.
It's Elle Fanning.
Is it Elle Fanning?
Elle Fanning is singing with Woodkid, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, that goes hard too.
Yeah.
And also shout out to Dollman singing "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head."
I didn't know that was
And
an
they
old
all make
song.
fun of him. You didn't know that was an old
No, I thought that was made for this singing.
Really?
I swear
You're
to God.
joking.
That's for my life.
You're joking.
Did you not
Wow.
watch Spider-Man?
I don't remember. I mean, I love those movies. I don't remember
2?
that.
Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, I don't remember. I thought it was just made for the song. I was like, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, you knew that song?
Yeah.
Come on, usually on my side. Come on.
No, this song is like, it's a very popular song.
I don't know.
We've been getting a lot of the super chats and chats in here, but I got 2 super chats we haven't done. Joel Osmond's super chat has said, preventing Terminal Fort from falling victim to a void out was one of my favorite moments. The Tar Lake boss is awesome. And now in post-game, it's become a Pokemon game for me. Gotta capture them BTs.
I love that. I love that.
Did you capture a lot of BTs, Jerica?
I only got one, and I keep forgetting to mention that moment, but I was just like, oh god, now it's Pokemon.
Yeah.
What the heck? No, just got one.
Yeah,
I wanna
it's,
capture more, though.
You
Yeah.
might probably talk. I actually, you know what? I think I might have been watching the stream when you guys were killing them, and they're like, "This is the tutorial to catch them."
What do? You just throw like a ball at them?
Yeah, they give you a special grenade to
shit.
capture BTs.
You get them
shit.
weak and then you capture them
Yeah.
and use them.
But I did it for the tutorial thing, and I never
use
won.
it? Yeah.
Oh, it's sick.
Like you can have an attack for you.
God, I love this game, man. It's
I
cool.
never figured it out.
They're like out for like 2 minutes, like massive BT like Pokemon for you to like throw out and use in like bigger battles. Like it's neat. I need to try see what else is there.
Yeah,
to catch.
the boss fight that they used as the tutorial. I think I just ran out. Like I tried my hardest to try and capture one of those BTs, and it just didn't work. And so it was just me versus like 4 gigantic BT lions. And I was like, all right, cool, because I'm fighting these.
Yeah.
Just struggled through
It's
it.
crazy that the chat never told me about
Baby
that.
Don X7 says, in all caps, the chat was screaming at Roger to pay attention to that
Nah,
part.
they didn't tell me any of that.
You were tired. You were hungry, probably.
I was so
Don't worry about
hungry.
it. You were hungry.
Ate Chili's and Outback.
Killian C. super chat and said, I really liked the secret horror cutscenes on the Magellan.
Yeah.
It shows Kojima can do horror, and I hope OD does happen. Let Kojima do horror.
Fuck yeah.
I'm sure you will. What I I don't know if I didn't get them or if I just didn't count them as horror. What are we thinking?
Well, I don't know about Secret. I'm just thinking about the one where Dead Man or Heartman is looking through the window, and then you go out and you talk to him, and it's Dead Man, and he's like, "Oh, I used to be, I'm inside of Heartman." Yeah, but I don't know if there's more. I'm sure there's more secret ones, as they're saying, but yeah.
I mean, there was something with Charlie, like the mannequin, right? Like in one of the cutscenes, I guess coming otter off from a mission, like, and that just runs at you through it.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all get that, or was that
didn't
just
get
me?
Oh,
I do remember that.
But also, I don't remember core principles.
That was
of this game,
weird.
so I don't know. I got the themes though.
Me the entire way, like, we had a baby.
dead wife.
Had a baby for this? He was just pregnant. The wife was pregnant. Oh, didn't even know. I like this is our final super chat here. Evermore Delin says, I was wondering if this was Kojima's way of processing grief from his franchise baby. And I like that line of thinking of like letting go of Metal Gear, because I think this Evermore one came in when we were talking about all the Metal Gear references here and the boss fight and this and Phantom Pain and that and blah blah blah. It's like,
Interesting.
an interesting little look at that one.
Yeah, it's funny because my read was that like Kojima had gone through. I don't know, like obviously we don't know Kojima as a person as much, right? But like I was very much playing this like, man, Kojima's gone through some shit. I'm never gonna know, but like I feel like he's processing some personal stuff through this game. And even when we were there, we did our interviews, and I think somebody did ask like, what did you pull from personally in like your experience of writing the story for this game? And it was like the shortest answer that he gave out of the whole interview, which is I forget exactly what it was, but it was kind of like, hey, we don't want to get deep into it, kind of thing. So I was like, all right, cool. He's like doing a lot of like personal processing.
Yeah, I like that angle on it because I think it's such a night and day Kojima reaction in relationship to Metal Gear from Death Stranding 1 to Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding 1, but before it came out, I did that 2-hour long interview with him at RTX Sydney. And it was when we got up there and like I asked like this question number 2, and he was like, well, I don't want to talk about Metal Gear or about Konami. And I was like, well, you have to. we have 2 hours and one cutscene from this video game. I can't ask you everything about Death Stranding. We got to talk about that. But he had been, when he left and it was such a hard breakup, he was so quiet for so long about Metal Gear. And now you do see him celebrating anniversaries and talking about Metal Gear and showing Metal Gear stuff. So I think that's an interesting take on it here of the grieving his franchise baby. But I digress. It's time for our final thoughts for this Spoilercast. Blessing. Is there anything we haven't touched on you want to talk about?
That's a good question. No, I think we got one more thing. Did you guys do the race? Not the race, but like the motorcycle chase thing on like the road?
The headless ghosts?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was fucking sick as hell.
I did that yesterday on stream. I was like, I'm gonna go off
nice.
and do this normal mission. They're gonna be BTs, and then it was like, now you gotta race. And I'm like, I only brought one gun. But then it was the normal thing of like, this is awesome. I need a gun. I stopped my car. I got off. I'm picking guns
you
off.
start yelling and they throwing you things.
Well, you can hit them with your car. You don't need a
I
gun.
was gonna shoot these motherfuckers to death, and I did.
Oh, okay,
Good for you.
Yeah, you can play like Burnout, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, I didn't do that. So
But, yeah, I like that moment.
that's
my
fun.
last.
And again, that's my thing of like, as somebody who's still playing and still doing these little missions, I'm hoping to keep finding stuff like that. Jerica, anything we didn't touch on you want to talk about?
Do you think there will be another game?
Yeah.
Based on what we see, you think there will be anything else with tomorrow
hope.
Here,
being a porter? I hope so.
He
I don't
made it
want
sound
to
like no.
end.
He
I
in the
know.
interview he implied that he would pass on Death Stranding 3 to somebody else.
Well, I think that's what this is. I hope that this would be the perfect moment for him as a creative, as somebody that is getting older and has so many franchises to look over at. You have a next generation of Death Stranding. You have a new protagonist. You have to give it to somebody else at Kojima Productions.
Yeah.
You have to actually give it to a new team and say, hey, I'm producing on this. I oversee maybe the story details, and I'm out. And this is their own thing.
How
I mean, that
symbolic.
would be perfect. That is literally the symbolic move that he can make. But I also have a feeling where he's not going to do that because he loves saying I'm out for every single Metal Gear game, every single Death Stranding game now, and then he's right back there.
I also think Death Stranding is such a bad franchise to do that with. It's so like it's such a Kojima thing. If you're gonna do that with a more straightforward action game.
I disagree. I think he can.
It could be something. It could be something different
Yeah.
though. Like, I mean, I'm not the one to sort of go through it, but like you're already sort of separating yourself like with a brand new character, and we don't know what's through that gate that she's looking at. So It can be something else entirely, and I would still be.
My pitch on
right.
it is that it is similar, right? You are connecting strands, you are connecting the chiral network, but it is more of like you're getting people outside. You're getting people outside. You're building communities.
Yeah.
You're actually like you're not just going to like these terminals where people come up in holograms. You're actually trying to build them towns and stuff like that.
Dude, a town builder, community builder, Death Stranding game would be so
super
fucking good.
sick. Right?
I could see it either way, but I feel like you stop here.
You can't, bro.
I think it's
Dude, they're gonna make a movie. They're gonna make an animated movie as well.
exactly
Like,
so that stuff's happening. You don't need to keep coming back to the game, right? Like you could let it live there. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love a game where
Yeah.
I'm playing as Elle Fanning as this porter and going through that gate and seeing what's up. I thought that was such a cool ending for it. But I think that's the thing. It's such a cool ending. You could just leave it there.
Do you think Kojima has sort of written this studio into a corner a bit with like how he makes games and like the nature of his games? Because like not only is Death Stranding like such a particular thing in like such a specific world that is of Kojima's brain, but also it's filled with so many celebrities and cameos and like so many people who are doing this because they love Kojima, right? Because Kojima himself has built these connections. Like, of course, you can get Elle Fanning to star in a game if you throw a lot of money at her, I imagine, right? But like, can Death Stranding 3, if it's not a Kojima game, I think just ends up being such a different experience.
yes and no. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't think he has to be fully removed from the project, right? Like, as long as it is just like, hey, here's my limit here is that I'm doing the overall production, and then I'm doing the story by, right? Like, that's my contributions to this, and then I could be the face of when a celebrity comes to town, I take a photo with them, and then that's pretty much it.
Like I'll get Timothy Chalamet up in here.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think he needs to be fully removed, and I'm sure that they can still, even without, let's say Kojima doesn't want anything to do with celebrities anymore. I'm sure they can still, just with the name recognition and how much money they have, still get people in there. But I get what you're saying, though.
Roger.
The only thing is connected here is I am very excited for the sequel, if there is one, so then we don't have to have Norman Reedus as the lead anymore. I think that this was my breaking point with him, is that the first one, I was like, I get it. I understand he is very quiet. That is a different, that is what they're trying to go. That's why everyone is so out there and over the top, is to kind of contrast his very flat performance. But man, I was like actually angry at the moment of like, tomorrow is Lou, and it's your second,
God.
it's your baby, your actual biological baby, and also the baby you lost, and you lost so much time with her. You lost 20 years. Oh my gosh, but she's standing right in front of you. You thought she was dead. Holy shit, here's the moment. Elle Fanning is looking at you. She's tearing up. He just looks at her and just like, just blank face, and then they hug.
Sup.
Sup.
Yeah.
You are my Lou, and it's like, what the fuck was that? Like, he wasn't crying. There was no emotion there. I need somebody to be the lead of this franchise that is not Norman Reedus at this point, honestly. And I think Elle Fanning is going to do an amazing job.
Do you think that's the actor, or do you think it's Kojima? Because I feel like Kojima.
Yeah, he's not letting him ad lib this scene, right? Like he's
Because his
No.
characters tend to be a bit more like emotionless.
Yeah, I'm saying Norman Reedus in general, just because Elle Fanning clearly is working for me more, right? I mean, of course, it's probably the direction of Norman Reedus, but I don't know what the deal is behind the scenes, but Elle Fanning is definitely more alive. It feels like in the universe than Norman Reedus is.
agreed.
So I'm looking forward to that. How about you, Greg?
To close out this spoiler cast,
Yes, Greg.
a great game that I can't wait to keep playing more of. I hope it'd be nice to platinum it one day. I'm sure I won't, but I'm looking forward to more missions with it and more. And I'm excited to see, inevitably, when this comes to PC, what they include in that Ultimate Edition. What are they adding to it there? What are they doing with it? But yeah, I part of me is hopeful that this is the end of Death Stranding, because I'd rather see Kojima make new ideas and new IPs. I know we already talked about OD. I know we're talking about Fizzant, but I think beyond those, even this whole thing of like, he's like, I'm getting old, so I have a notebook I've given my aides that if I ever die, like, this, you know what I mean? Like, I want to see him create more new worlds. I was surprised even to get a Death Stranding 2 in many ways, where I thought Death Stranding was going to be that our first game under our belt as a studio. Let's go. We're small, we're nimble, we can do this. And now that they've done it again and done it so much better, I'd rather see them start new things and go from there. We'll have to wait and see.
Hell yeah.
Because when those games come, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, we'll talk about them here on the Kind of Funny Gamescast each and every weekday on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, podcast services around the globe. If you love conversations like this, we need you to support our 11-person small business. Get your Kinda Funny membership over on patreon.com/kindafunny, youtube.com/kindafunnygames, Apple and Spotify to get all of our episodes of the Gamescast, the Kinda Funny podcast, Kinda Funny Games Daily, Screencast, etc., 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 ad-free. And of course, get your daily dose of me, Greg Miller, in a podcast in a car called Greg Way. Of course, our day is far from done here at Kinda Funny. We are about to stream more video games with Blessing and Joey. For now, Jerica from JK Games, thank you once again for hanging out with us. Where can people keep up with you?
You can find me pretty much everywhere. JK Games Podcast, JK Games Podcast. So for me and Kayla, she's my co-host, and we are currently playing through Tears
Hell
of the
yeah.
Kingdom right now. We're doing like a video game book club situation, so revisiting a lot of titles. So it's been a fun transition from Death Stranding to Tears of the Kingdom. I keep trying to scan through things, and you can't do that in that game.
Well, I love that. Everybody go follow Jerica. Blessing. Roger, thank you for your time. Kevin, thanks
Thank
for
you.
making this work. Until next time, everybody, it's been our pleasure to serve you.